They say freak when you're singled out. Red filters through. So lay down, the thread is real. When inside goes red again. Seeing red again. Seeing red again. Things change if you won't contain. Slip away to clear your mind. When asked who made it show, the truth he gives into most. So lay down, the thread is real. When inside goes red again.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the punchy kickiest podcast on the fucking planet. I'm No Joe, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Here's to you and yours, because you should be of appropriate age to consume this podcast. So, that being said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for tuning in to the latest episode here. We have got a bunch of fights to talk about this weekend. We have got some interesting news, some titillating fight announcements to talk about here for you on this, our latest episode. As is the case more often than not, before we get into the shenanigans here, we have got a beautiful panel of fine folks to break down the fights and get into the shit talks and shenanigans with us here. We are not yet confirmed if the beardless wonder himself is actually going to make it this evening. Fingers are crossed, but we do not have confirmation if he is going to make it or not. We hope so, but if not, we will still move on, regrettably. But across from what would be his position, the interim new guy, strap holder himself, the freshest guest a man could possibly ask for, Mr. Fresh 03 himself. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Busy week, but making time to be here.
Hell yeah, we appreciate you, sir. And as is the case more often than not, across the octagon from myself, as it were, my Wednesday night compatriot, most weeks last night I just fucking wore my ass out too much, but my combat shit talking compatriot, the one and only Golf T Vapes. How you doing, sir?
Fucking Thursday. I'm not gonna lie, I'm running myself ragged this week, but hey, wouldn't miss it.
I hear you. I hear you.
Left hand work, right hand play. Let's go.
Yep. A little thunder and a little lightning.
Brewing up a storm.
That's right. Mic check. 1, 2. Is this thing on? Oh, but before we get too deep into the craziness that is this weekend's upcoming fights, we do have just a quick second to talk about last weekend's main event, as it were, but to kind of everyone's surprise, really, Neiman Gracie versus Jason Jackson went the fucking distance and was damn close getting there. Jackson was on his shit. I will give him credit because Neiman wasn't giving him a damn thing. Jackson ended up getting the decision from the judges. Even Big John in the commentators booth thought that Gracie won it, but when you leave it in the hands of the judges, and Sal D'Amato is one of the judges, it's up to suspicion. So there is that. The one thing I will say I don't think anybody saw coming was Pitbull guillotining Emmanuel Sanchez in a minute and fucking change, literally into unconsciousness. Like, he hit the ground and went out immediately, and Pitbull had to turn to the referee and say, he's sleeping. And the ref comes over, picks up his wrist, and that shit was already jello by that point.
Pretty sure I called that one last week when we talked about it. That's all I'm saying. Between you and me,
man.
Just saying.
It's a good thing there wasn't competition here to cost us a point for that.
That would have gained me a fucking point. And a quick one at that, too.
I will take my 2 points and I will shut the fuck up about that week's picks. Oh, man. But moving on from that fucking glorious shit show that was last week's Bellator 255, we've got a little bit of news here to talk about, and then we've got some fights this weekend to talk about. First thing, kind of most major announcement that we got in the week, really, in my opinion. Mike Goldberg is no longer with the Bellator broadcast team since they have signed this new deal with Showtime. Showtime did not offer Mike Goldberg a contract, but they basically offered everyone else under the Bellator roster contracts. So Showtime basically politely gave Goldberg the finger and walked him out the door, which is kind of bullshit considering he has been one of the iconic voices of MMA for 20 fucking years at this point, regardless of which organization he was with. That's pretty fucking shitty.
I bet PFL or fucking One or somebody will pick him up.
I was just going to say, with One coming back into action now, and with PFL's season getting ready to fucking start up soon, I'm fairly confident somebody is going to fucking snatch him up, because that was just absolutely stupid to let such a fucking iconic and household recognizable fucking voice like that go because they signed a fucking Showtime contract. Scott Coker clearly didn't negotiate something properly there, because the whole fucking world of fandom is kind of outraged by that, as I feel we should be. Speaking of things that kind of have the world of MMA fandom in an outrage, we did get the announcement and then the confirmation yesterday that despite losing Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega for the featherweight belt from our most recent UFC pay-per-view event, we are still going to get that fight confirmed, because they are going to coach the next season of The Ultimate Fighter, starting filming the last week of April. They will be coaching bantamweights and middleweights. I hope they do it properly. If they do it right, this could be a great thing. It really, really could. If they really try and crank up the fucking reality TV show aspect of it and make it glitzy and glamoury, this could be a fucking dumpster fire on wheels. I'm hoping we get what we used to love about Ultimate Fighter, but at this point, nothing's confirmed. Hi, Jax. Speaking of PFL, though, we actually did get one of my single favorite pieces of news in the MMA world this week from PFL. They have announced that starting with this season, if you miss weight, you lose points. Not only are you not eligible if you still compete in that fight to win any points, but you go negative. You lose points. And in the way their season is structured, you have to show up, make weight, and then win the fight to get all of your points. The earlier in the PFL or in the PFL system, the earlier in the fight you win, the more points you get. First round's 3 points, second round's 2, third round's 1 point, or decision is 1 point. But not only can you not earn any points if you miss weight, but you lose points. And in their system, it's point based. To get to the playoffs at the end of the season, you have to have the most points. So this is absolutely a very detrimental, potentially detrimental thing to guys in the PFL. And we know for a fact that a couple of the guys that are heading in this season cut a whole lot of fucking weight. So hopefully this will keep boys and girls on their P's and fucking Q's. If you're going to cut weight, you better do it responsibly or move fucking classes, because PFL is going to start hitting motherfuckers where it hurts in the point bank.
Dude, that's an awesome thing, because that gives people more incentive to make sure they're on fucking point rather than half-assing their way through it.
Yeah, because regardless, if you miss weight, the athletic commission is going to take part of your purse and give it to your opponent. So you're already losing money off the top, regardless of if you win or lose. The athletic commission is going to take money out of your fucking purse and give it to your opponent. And then if you can compete, you can't win any goddamn points. And you're still going to lose a fucking point because you couldn't make your fucking weight. I absolutely like that. And I really, really, really hope that the other organizations start to adopt at least some sort of a more punishment system for missing weight. Because everybody knows that a little money out of the purse, if you come in heavy and can still win the fight, doesn't make or break a fight. Never has. But when you start impacting the future of their year, the rest of their fucking year, you hit their wallet really.
You know, the only thing that I think that where they should make an exception to that is if they have to do like a last minute change. So if somebody picks up a fight within like 2 weeks, you got to give them a little
If you put like a 2 week window for last minute exemptions, that I would be okay with. Then you just take your purse because you knew what you were signing up for. So take your 20% cut from the athletic commission, go on and fucking fight your fight. But yeah, anything over 2 weeks, I agree, would be a good fucking window. Like if you take that thing more than 2 weeks out, you knew you got a fight coming up. You're almost a month. Be ready. But we'll see. We'll see if that starts to ripple around the fight world. I really hope it does. Then we had last night's One on TNT event. Main card was 3 fights. First one was not bad, nothing terribly exciting. But the main and co-main, were Eddie Alvarez. I'm gonna butcher this fucking guy's name. I did it earlier too. Eddie Alvarez versus Airi Lapicus. I don't know. I've heard it said 9 different ways, and I think I fucked it up every way I've tried it. But it literally lasted 58 seconds, 5-8 in the first round, and it was stopped. Bell rings, they come out, they go at it. Small exchange. Eddie lands a takedown, puts Yuri right up against the fucking cage, leg wraps him, starts to pound on him. Yuri turns into Eddie. Eddie hits him right at the base of the back of the fucking, like right where the ear meets the base of the skull. And the referee yells at him. That's the back of the head, Eddie. Watch it. So what does Eddie Alvarez do? He proceeds to throw 6 more punches exactly like it to the same exact fucking spot, to which the referee stops the fight, and because they were over in the other side of the world and they do things differently, he pulls out the red card, which is the equivalent of the referee calling a disqualification and ending the match. Eddie loses technically via DQ, even though it's a red card finish is what they called it. It has generated some of the quickest polarizing responses, I think, of anything recently, with the exception of the main event, which we'll talk about in a minute. Other than the Jan Sterling knee. I can see both sides of this because you can tell as Eddie comes in to start pounding on him, Yuri turns. So the punch would have landed in his fucking face. It would have landed right in the middle of his fucking mug. But he turned as Eddie was throwing it. I get that. That one should be fucking legal. That's cool. But the ref warned him that from his point of view, that was an illegal shot. So he should have thrown the punch somewhere else, but he didn't. He literally threw a half a dozen exactly like it in the exact same spot after he literally just got warned that one was illegal. That was too far back. Had this been anybody other than Eddie Alvarez, I would probably be willing to get a lot more aggravated about it and be a lot more vehement. But Eddie Alvarez has kind of turned out to be a little bit of a douchebag, so I'm not really willing to give him that much of the benefit of the doubt, considering you can hear the referee yell, "That's the back of the head, Eddie, watch it." And he looks up at the referee, and then like a little kid or a cat on the edge of a cliff with a fucking dish just goes, "Oh yeah?" Whoop. Like, maybe a warning instead of an instant DQ, like an actual stop the fight, that was illegal, watch the back of the head, instead of an instant DQ. But at the same time, Eddie makes it really hard to give him the benefit of the doubt when he does shit like that, especially when you see in the video, he looks at the ref and then throws the same punch 6 more times. Come on, Eddie.
All right. You see, this is where you and I differ on this. When I watched this, he didn't hit him in the back of the head. Look, this is the back of the head here. This is your neck. He hit him in the fucking neck 6 times. Not the back of the head. It was the fucking neck. There's no rule that says you can't hit somebody in the back of the fucking neck. The back of the head, yes. Not the fucking neck. So I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. However, in the heat of the moment, as the ref is watching it, he probably saw back of head, which is fine. That's an acceptable excuse for the referee, but not an acceptable DQ. When you watch where those punches are landing, they were clearly below the base of the skull and into his neck.
Yeah.
That's not the back of the head. So I can't say disqualification was warranted there. However, in the heat of the moment, being a referee who's, well, not known.
Right.
Does anybody know who that ref is?
Kevin Brown's not the most recognizable household referee name of the big.
You're not going to see him on a UFC card. You're not going to see him on a Bellator card. Well, maybe, but it'll be slim when that happens. Yeah. There's a reason why he refs for one. And it's not that he's not a suitable referee. He's just not to that elite level yet.
He's not there.
So that's where I say, okay, this is probably more of a ref fuck up thing than it is an Eddie Alvarez thing. Although Alvarez did look up at him and said, you could tell that he did hear him, which is good.
Yeah.
But then he also looked back up at him because the ref didn't stop anything from there and then proceeded to pound him clean in the fucking face a couple more times because the ref failed to do his job as a referee and protect the fighter. If he wanted to protect him, he would have stopped it and said, hey, here's your fucking little yellow card or whatever you're going to do.
Right.
Strong verbal warning, whatever the fuck, and put them back in the same position and let them go fucking at it. So I'm calling this one on the ref. In my opinion, it was clearly in the neck, not the fucking head. But then again, A and P, I only A stat class, so what do I know?
Sure. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but I mean, if a ref tells you not to do something, you look at the ref and then go and do it again, you're asking for it. That's all I
kind
gotta
of the way I
say.
look at it. Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, I understand Eddie's point of view. I really do. Even though I don't like him, I understand his point of view. When he threw the first punch, it would have smashed that dude right in his fucking nose. And that dude turned like a fucking turtle right into Eddie's arm real quick. I get that. But if that's the punch that the ref saw and said that one was back of the head, watch it, move your punches, throw a punch somewhere else. Throw the next 6 2 inches to the left, or an inch down and an inch to the left, not the exact same spot.
And I'm not saying Eddie isn't without fault here for looking up and noticing that and still continuing to throw in the same general vicinity. But I still don't think they were to the back of the head.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I definitely think it should have been, like, if anything, stop the fight, give him the fucking yellow card, and then take away the position as a punishment. Start him back on the feet.
Also, can we give an Oscar to the guy he was fighting for laying there crying like a bitch? Look.
That dude, to be fair, got hit 6 times unanswered in the base of the head. I get that hurts, but that was Ackermain Sterling level, and even he commented about how fucking played up that performance was. So there is something to be said about that absolute fucking.
That was the greatest soccer flop
out
of all time in an MMA cage.
Yeah, it really was pretty damn good, because even Aljamain went after him for it. So there's something to be said there.
Hey, it is what it is. I mean, I call fault on both parts there, but
I agree.
I still don't think it was DQ level there.
No, that's I agree. That's what I said. I can see both sides of the complaint here, but I don't think it should have been a DQ like it was.
I think had he not stopped, had the ref stopped it like after the second or third punch that he threw right in that general vicinity, that dude wouldn't have laid there and squealed like a fucking pig. It was once he got sick, and then let me push myself off because I'm sick of getting hit finally.
Yep. And at that point, it was too fucking late.
Dude, you're a professional fighter. You don't cry when you get a fucking broken nose, a broken orbit. Don't sit there and kick your feet and roll back and forth on the mat because you got hit in the base of the neck.
Right. Yeah, no, that was a fucked up match. And for that to be their co-main event, especially after they literally just had Eddie Alvarez hanging out with Shaq in a golf cart on NBA on TNT right before the fights came on, and then Eddie Alvarez comes out and then gets fucking DQ'd, and then when they go to do his fucking interview afterwards, his headset didn't fucking work. It's like, oh my fucking God, that's such a bad look. But
especially coming to TNT, someplace that is not, namely for basketball, but you're bringing another major MMA promotion into the US and putting new eyes on it, and you fuck it that bad, there's a problem there.
Yep. But as if that wasn't crazy enough, then we get to the main event, Adriano Moraes versus Demetrius Johnson for the were they fighting for the flyweight or the bantamweight belt? For the flyweight belt, I believe. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it took me a second there. But that one, to their credit, lasted a little longer than the Eddie Alvarez fight. Eddie Alvarez only lasted 58 seconds into round 1. The Demetrius Johnson versus Adriano Moraes fight lasted 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Ironically enough, DJ made a crazy swing, missed. Moraes knocked him, like basically swept him down. And when DJ went to get up, Moraes landed a tiger knee right to fucking DJ's face, put him flat on his back, pounded him twice, and he was fucking out. To his credit, being the badass that Demetrius Johnson is, he literally had just done an interview before that fight talking about how he thought the Peter Yan Aljamain Sterling knee disqualification was bullshit, and that knees to grounded opponents need to be legal in all fight organizations. And then he caught one 2 minutes into the first round of his title fight, got knocked the fuck out with it, and got into his post-fight interview and said that, hey, it was a bad night at the office, but I still 100% agree knees to grounded opponents should be legal for everyone. that motherfucker needs a wheelbarrow for his balls, Randy Marsh style.
Yes, he does. Not to mention, if you can say that in the post fight after having something like that just happen to you, that tells the entire athletic commission to go fuck themselves
Damn right it does.
and
With
get on
authority.
board. Because when the fighters are on board with it that just got KO'd that way, there's an issue there. That's all I'm saying.
DJ is such a badass.
Yeah.
And no, if you go back and watch it, he literally had one hand on the ground and was reaching up with the other hand, and homeboy just plowed him with a fucking knee intentionally as can be, right in the goddamn face. And you see DJ just go backwards, pow pow, it's done. And as soon as DJ was good, he got right up and he went over and he fucking shook hands and he hugged him and they fucking bowed and fucking teams shook hands and nothing but fucking respect. And like I said, and then DJ does his post fight and says, "Nah, he fucking caught me, dude. He got me. I knew it was a possibility and he caught me with it. Still think they should be fucking legal." That's a badass dude. But then we have some interesting announcements in the fight world before we get into our actual breakdowns here for the week. The first one we got next weekend's UFC Vegas 24 card. Parker Porter has officially been pulled out of the fight against Chase Sherman, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But luckily for us, at least, they found a replacement on a week's notice. The pit bull himself, Andre Arlovsky, is stepping in to take on Chase fucking Sherman. The reason I say that's great for us, I don't know that this is particularly a good fight for Arlovsky. I'm pretty sure Chase Sherman can handle this fairly competently. We'll talk more about that next week for sure, but this is a dangerous move for Arlovsky. I'll put it that way. This is probably more dangerous than that Parker Porter fight would have been if he would have stepped in on Chase Sherman's part instead of stepping in for Parker Porter. But, you know, credit to Arlovsky for trying to still be in the mix. We'll see how it turns out for him, but credit for still attempting, I guess would be the right analogy.
Parker Porter, though, I mean, the last time we saw him, he was fucking impressive. So
He was, but
Still.
I think Arlovsky versus Sherman is going to be,
Arlovsky versus Sherman should be good.
yeah, should be entertaining for damn sure. Let's see. Couple of interesting fight announcements for the next couple weeks ish. The first one for the UFC 261 card coming up on April 24th. The return after 19 months on the fucking sidelines due to shit circumstance after shit circumstance. Tristan Connolly finally comes back to the UFC and gets welcomed there by none other than rising prospect himself, Pat Sabatini, one of the second funnest names to say in our prospect roster right now. Fairly confident that's going to be a prelim match, but still, that has a lot of firework potential on it right there. May 8th. We were a little disheartened when they originally canceled it. They kind of snuck it back under the fucking radar, and the MMA gods gave us a little, here you go, late spring gift. May 8th, kneel on kneel violence will happen after all. Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal will headline the May 8th card for the UFC. That is going to be a fucking spectacular matchup, I think.
Anytime we
Not-
get Neil Magny, it's gonna be a good
Yeah,
time.
no shit, right? Not necessarily on any particular placement, but they also announced with that on the May 8th card, we will be seeing Amanda Hebus stepping back into the octagon once again, this time taking on Angela Hill. Not quite the fight that they had been at least publicly working on for Hebus, but I think still a very winnable fight and enough of a recognizable name that if she does her work good, could be a very good springboard for her.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which name are you talking about, Tommy? Pat Sabatini? That's a great name.
I mean,
No,
does
I
does Hebus get a whole lot out of fighting Angela Hill?
I think if she does it quick, I think if they go to decision,
Yeah, but
it's
she
just
doesn't.
another
She never has
ho-hum.
quick fights.
That's what I'm saying. I think if Amanda Hebus can come out, because you know Angela Hill is going to come out with her fucking pedal to the floor. So if Hebus can either counter her or catch her with something early and make a show of it, I think it's enough. The Angela Hill, the name is recognizable enough that a quick, clean, powerful finish over her will do something for her. I think if they go to the decision, I think it's just another yawn ho-hum match that no one really gives two fucks about.
Pretty much.
No, I think if she comes out and does fucking work, and I think she's absolutely capable of it, and you know Overhill is going to just fucking come out guns blazing and leave herself open for it. So
Yeah.
there's a very good possibility, I think. Oh, but June 5th UFC event just got a very interesting matchup added to it here. Roman Dolidze, who we just saw not that long ago in a great fucking match, taking on Alessio Di Chirico.
Interesting.
That's going to be a pretty neat stylistic matchup. Plus, not to mention, if he loses, Di Chirico is still going to want to, talk to the press, and if he wins, he's going to tell him he's not going to talk to him because they don't talk to losers. That's what happens when you get weirdos like that in the UFC. So here we go. Here's the string of interesting announcements that we've got here coming up. June 12th card just got added to it. Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. That's going to be very interesting. UF 263 just got a very fun fight on it here. We know Muhammad's got decent wrestling, but does he have the jits to keep Maia from just fucking manhandling him when it inevitably gets there? I don't know, but it's going to be fun to watch, I think. June 19th, main event. I guess you could call this a wish granted because this was specifically requested in a glorious post-fight interview not that fucking long ago. June 19th's main event will officially be Dan 50K Ige taking on the Korean Zombie. You ask for it, you get it, baby. That's a fucking fight. And they're going to let it be a main event so we get 5 fucking rounds potentially. That's going to be an awesome fucking match. I'm telling you right fucking now. I can't wait for that one. Not quite as exciting, but still definitely very interesting. The June 26th card, the following week, had its main event announced yesterday. It will be headlined by Cyril Gane taking on Alexander Volkov. That is stylistically very interesting. Not quite as much as Zombie Ige, but still very interesting, I think.
Man, are they throwing Cyril Gane up there real quick, fast, and in a hurry? I'm impressed.
That's what I was just gonna say, man. They're not sparing him any fucking way up the ladder. No.
No, they're throwing him at the wolves, which is fucking good. Because he's proven himself.
I'm saying he's giving you no reason not to. At this point,
they want that Cyril Gane Francis fight like that.
They really do, especially since there's bad blood there now. Like former training partners turned rivals. Like that's literally what they're working on with that fucking Colby backstory in the Usman fucking Jorge Masvidal now. They're playing that fucking Colby angle again, assuming that they think Masvidal is going to win this time, saying, you know, the former fucking training partners, now rivals, could challenge for the next belt if Masvidal takes this. So
All right.
we know that's an angle they like.
No. Being as you just brought this up, this brought something else to mind that I was thinking about. Now, hear me out on this. This is going to sound really fucking wild, and it'll probably never come to fruition.
I like it.
Okay. Start with Usman Masvidal. Say Masvidal wins, which is a very good possibility.
Absolutely.
In the wings right now, we have Diaz and Edwards, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's say Diaz wins. Right? All right. I'm following here. Diaz gets a shot at the title against Masvidal for not just the welterweight, but the BMF. Double.
Put them both on the
Here's
line.
where shit gets really crazy and off the wall. Diaz wins this fight. We then roll into it. Conor trilogy. Welterweight title.
I mean, if we're going full crazy, in the time that it takes us to get Masvidal's win and then the Diaz win, we could potentially have Conor winning the trilogy against Poirier. And then, because that's what he wants, we'll assume Chandler beats Oliveira some fucking how. And then he gets his matchup of Chandler versus McGregor, which we know McGregor will smoke him like a fucking Sunday brisket. So then we've got McGregor with the 155 belt coming up to challenge Diaz for champ status against his 170 belt and the BMF belt. 3 on the line, triple headliner. We make it at Madison Square Garden. It breaks every record ever created. Dana White, I just want 5%. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. The likelihood of all of that happening and falling into place probably isn't that likely, but I was like, I thought about it. I was like, that could get fucking really crazy.
I'm saying, if you're going tinfoil, fucking go, and I'm in.
Just saying, it would be a cool fucking outcome to watch all that shit come together.
It sure the fuck would be awesome to see those dominoes fall into place, to see that happen. I absolutely agree. That would be fucking spectacular. Oh, fucking craziness. But back into our list here. We also got another one for that June 26th card that Gon will be headlining. This one in the smaller fellas, but I still think will be very exciting here. Charles Rosa getting back in against Justin James.
Okay.
I had to think about it for a second when I first read the announcement, and then it makes a little more sense. I think James has the skills to take this one. I think he just has to pull the trigger, because we saw in his last fight that if he gets gun shy, he stays gun shy. But when he pulls the trigger, that boy can fucking go. I think if he comes out and lets fucking go on Rosa, that can be a real interesting fight real fucking quick. Here we go. Ironically, kind of half infuriating, half enthusiastically, I report we got an addition to UFC 264 for International Fight Week on July 10th, which will be headlined by the aforementioned McGregor Poirier trilogy. Tai Tuivasa is stepping into the octagon against the asshat who will not be named Voldemort. I'm not real happy that this is going to be on a pay-per-view. I'm pretty fucking sure they're going to put this on the main card again for some fucking reason. But I have a lot more confidence in Tai Tuivasa than I did in most of the other folks they have put up against this asshat waste of human flesh. All I'm saying is, if we get this fucking clown knocked out on International Fight Week on a pay-per-view, somebody better get him a fucking beer.
Not just a. He needs one for each of the last ones that they fucked up and missed on.
I'm saying at the very fucking least, if he knocks this fucking clown out for us, Somebody better get that boy a fucking wobble pop. I will be angry if they don't.
You and me both.
So the other interesting thing they did give us here is a secondary announcement for UFC 264, one that I am way more excited about than that one. Gilbert Burns getting back on the horse, stepping in to take on Wonder Boy.
There we go.
I fucking like it. They're both in the top of the stack. This is essentially an eliminator fight because Wonder Boy is one of the only people in the top 10 that Usman hasn't fought yet if Masvidal doesn't get past him. Gilbert is coming off of that loss, so this is his chance to try and get back in there. This fight could mean a whole lot. It could mean a whole lot. So, not to mention stylistically.
That's a really good fight for Gilbert, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really, really is. I think it's a good fight for both of them, really.
Fuck yeah, because that could raise, that could very well raise Thompson Wonderboy stock a lot.
That could, make it almost hard to fucking deny him at that point, really.
Yeah, because he's the only one in the top 5 that hasn't had his crack at the title. So.
Yeah, and on the same token, if Burns wants to prove that, he should get another shot at it, taking out the only other guy in the fucking top 5 who hasn't had it yet is kind of a pretty good fucking way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And we know Wonder Boy ain't no fucking slouch, so he's going to have to work for that if he gets it. So I dig it. I think it's a great fucking matchup. I'm pretty stoked to see that one play out. We got a pair. The last two here are a pair of announcements for the July 24th card, 2 weeks after UFC 264. Both of them understandable matchups from the promoter's point of view. From a fan's point of view, maybe a little more confusing. The first one, Aspen Ladd taking on Macy Chiasson. Chiasson coming off of her decision win over Marion Renault, who is now going to be fighting Misha Tate, rather. Macy Chiasson has moved into the Aspen Ladd match on July 24th. Interesting enough. The other one, Miranda Maverick, coming off of her victory not that long ago against Jillian Robertson, will be stepping in to take on Macy Barber, who I think is going to be a little bit more of an interesting fight than the Chiasson match.
Yeah, indeed. Those two girls like to punch.
They very much do. That's going to be interesting to see which one of them gets the edge in that match, too, because neither one of them are going to want to back down.
Yeah, hopefully Macy's got over whatever confidence she's lost.
Yeah, because when she's on it, she's fucking on it. Chiasson can put on a show. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
But when she comes out there ho-hum, that's exactly what you get the whole time. It's just, we're fighting, I guess. So we'll see. We will see. But that is the news and announcements that I've got for this particular episode here. Before we jump to our UFC card for the week, I do want to take a little bit of time here real quick to talk about tomorrow night's Bellator 256 card, also on Showtime as well, since this is part of their new big thing. The kickoff of the light heavyweight Grand Prix. The prelims are honestly very much meh at best. The main card is very much better, but there's really only 3 we need to talk about here. The feature featherweight, Kat Zingano taking on Olivia Parker. That's going to be a fucking spectacular matchup here. I have to say, I like Olivia Parker. but she's only got 5 pro fights. I gotta think that in this situation, Kat Zingano coming back on a mission, experience has got to take this one here. The Adam Boric versus Jeremy Kennedy fight has potential to be interesting, but Boric has been real hit and miss lately, so I can't get too excited about that. One we can get kind of excited about, though, is the co-main event. Liz Carmouche versus Vanessa Porto. This is, to me, very similar to the Kat Zingano versus Olivia Parker fight, but kind of on a different scale. Vanessa Porto, to her credit, is 22-8 as a pro. The difference is this is the biggest platform she's ever been on, and it's taken her until this point in her career to get to a Bellator co-main event as the peak of her career so far, whereas we've seen Liz Carmouche literally challenge for the title in the UFC on the world's fucking tallest platform with all the eyes in the world and a fucking 50,000 fan crowd in front of her. I think this is going to be another situation where experience is going to take the fucking dance here. Not just experience in the fight world, but experience in the co-main event. On, you know, the pressure is on. This is it. This is just another Friday evening for Liz Carmouche, though. So I got to think this is going to be another situation where experience is going to take the dance again. The one other fight that I do think you absolutely do need to tune into tomorrow night, if you are a fight fan, though, is that main event, the light heavyweight Grand Prix opening. I will say this, I'm a little more excited about the next light heavyweight Grand Prix round where we get to see Rumble Johnson versus Yoel fucking Romero as a round 1 match, as crazy as that is. But the rematch of Ryan Bader versus Lyoto Machida is equally as interesting. Bader is no longer their champ. So he is really trying to get a little bit of steam back under his sail. Meanwhile, Machida looks like a fucking robot. That dude doesn't age. He's got Paul Rudd syndrome. Like, he looks the same now as he did in his early fucking days. Just he wears his hair full now instead of shaving the sides like way down. But same fucking baby face, same 18-pack of fucking abs. Like, Machida is still the same badass that he was, with the little exception of having had that chin tested more than he did when he was a young pup. The bad part for him is that Bader's still got big power and swings real fucking wild. So if he connects, he's going to test that chin. The good thing for him, though, is that Bader swings real wild. And I still think Machida can move fast enough to take this. I don't think it's going to be pretty, and I don't think it's going to be early. I think we're going to look at a decision possibly here. But I still think that the Dragon has got what it takes to get past Ryan Bader. I think Bader is finally starting to lose some of the undeserved hype and steam that he got thrust upon him when he became Bellator's golden boy. And I think Machida is going to capitalize on that little drop down in ego from the last ass whooping he took from Nemkov. I think we see Machida take this one.
You know what I think is more interesting about this fight, other than the fight itself? The fact that Bellator is debuting new gloves for this fight and this fight only.
Interesting.
Anybody in the light heavyweight Grand Prix that fights will be wearing white Bellator gloves. So a new color scheme. Same style and all, but they're going to be white versus their typical red or blue.
The red or blue, yeah.
Which, that's just something a little interesting. The fight itself is interesting to me anyways, but
right.
Little other tidbit of information there that, in case people didn't know and are wondering what the fuck is going on tomorrow night when they see all white gloves.
Right, yeah, because that will definitely stand out, and the whole rest of the card is red and blue.
Yeah, the rest of the card's going to be the normal red or blue. This one, straight fucking white, which is pretty cool way to discern who's part of that Grand Prix and who's not.
Yeah, I like it. I'm in with it.
Not to mention, how are those fighters going to react with that different color of gloves? Because that's going to throw the way you see things off too.
Right? Yeah. If you don't train with white gloves, if you're used to training with red or blue gloves, and then that white is coming at you, that could absolutely fuck with your peripheral. I agree. Could be real interesting to see all the way around for that. But from that weirdness, that will bring us onto our namesake, the reason for the season, as it were, this weekend's UFC Vegas 23, Vettori versus Holland. This was originally slated to be Darren Till versus Marvin Vettori in one of the most hyped middleweight fights we've seen in a hot fucking minute. And then Darren Till breaks his fucking collarbone last week. Fell in training, broke his fucking collarbone. Obviously, can't fight a week after you break your fucking collarbone. So they had to pull him. And to his credit, Kevin Holland stepped up. So we'll talk more about him in a minute when we get to the main event here. As of right now, being Thursday night, they have this card abso-fucking-lutely stacked. Being as how we know the way that the luck of the UFC and the world works, I honestly don't anticipate seeing all of the fights we have booked right now actually play out when we get to Saturday night. We'll see which ones make the cut and which ones don't. But I will say this. They are opening the fight with a fucking spectacular match to kick this card off. Impa Kasanganay, one of our other favorite fucking names on the show here, taking on another of the favorite names of the show, Sasha Palatnikov. That's going to be a very interesting matchup to see. Basically, I think this is kind of Impa's last chance. He has come in and gotten fucking highlight reeled almost every time he's gone out there. I kind of feel like this is his shit or get off the pot moment. As likable as a guy as he is, as fun of a fucking name as he has, they don't need any more punching bags. The UFC has plenty of soup cans on the roster already at this point, and I can't like you enough to keep you around just to get punched in the face. We'll see if Palatnikov can do it, but I feel like that's kind of the position that they're putting him in here. A lot of potential talent, I think is the best way to put this. There are a lot of up and comers. There's a lot of middle of the road fights as far as rankings go on this card. This prelim is just jammed with people that seem familiar, but aren't really quite to that spot yet. But there is a matchup, the premier prelim matchup, that I don't care what else on this card you watch, you cannot miss. Joe Selecki versus Jim fucking Miller. To be fair, I have absolutely nothing against Joe Selecki. I think he seems like an all right guy, and he's got a potentially great future in this organization. But you lined up against the wrong one, and I will not root against Jim fucking Miller. I'm sorry, Mr. Selecki. I think you're getting your ass kicked Saturday night because Jim fucking Miller.
I don't know if it'll be an ass whooping, but you're going up against a crafty old man. That crafty old man, more often than not, finds a way to slip something in there and just sink it on you. Sink it on you. And I think that's probably what we're looking for again. We're probably looking for Jim Miller to catch Selecki with something. Last time out, Jim did he get clocked last time? Yeah, he did. He's due one. He's due one. It's got to be Jim Miller slipping one on him. It has to be. So it's my only thought.
Yeah, I just say beware the fucking guillotine because Jim Miller has one of the nastiest guillotines in all of MMA.
Yes, sir. They've been showing his highlight reel. Guillotines and arm bars are two of Jim Miller's absolute specialties, and the UFC put together a beautiful highlight reel of them on their Instagram page. If you need a refresher course, I highly encourage you to go look at that. So, moving along from our premier prelim match into our main card here. Again, UFC opening cards with fucking authority here, with the fireworks, goddammit. Aluminum Mike Perry against Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez. Two things really stand out to me the most here. We get it, Sons of Anarchy. Calm down. Two things really stand out to me here on the Mike Perry side. One, he still does not have camp. He's doing the solo him and his girlfriend thing, bringing in a couple of training partners and a couple of part-time coaches and shit. And we all know that at the top level, that just don't cut it. But the other thing, even worse, I would say, potentially than that, since he has the birth of his new baby with his girlfriend, he said himself he has been spending a lot less time training, which I get it. If you want to be a parent, be a parent. You want to be there for your kid, that's awesome. But if you're also going to be a fighter, you have to find the balance. Otherwise, one of the two will suffer. If you cannot find the balance, whichever you neglect will suffer. And I absolutely get not wanting that to be your kid, but if you can't find that balance, you can't keep it up at the top levels of the fucking UFC. Meanwhile, we've got D-Rod, who is Joe Schilling's main training partner and a frequenter of the BMF Ranch, sparring partner, training workout partner of one Cowboy fucking Cerrone. Tested in fire, badass motherfucker here. D-Rod has been putting in the work to tighten his fucking game up all the way around. And I think, as is the case more often than not, aluminum crumples pretty fucking easily. I think we're looking at Perry catching a new nose job Saturday night.
All right. I'm just going to start by saying this. Mike Perry is no longer aluminum Mike Perry. For this reason. He is now Mercury Mike Perry. Because there's no stiffness to that at all. And it's toxic as fuck. So, Mercury Mike Perry, being a toxic cocksucker that he is, if you're trying to spend more time and be a dad, great. That means you actually may have possibly increased your value in life something. All I can say is D-Rod all fucking day. Because I'm not a fan of Mike Perry at all. If you didn't notice.
You know, I'm always half rooting for aluminum Mike Perry just because I want to hear what crazy shit comes out of his mouth once he gets up to the winner's circle.
He is very Derek Lewis-esque.
Like one fight you get him yammering on about how the tax man's after him, and then there's another fight where he's talking about how nobody wants to give him a shot in the camp, and he has to do everything on his own. And he just loses his shit. And the best part is the UFC just lets him go.
Yep.
Like that's half the fun of an aluminum Mike Perry fight. Like if he wins, there's going to be some crazy shit coming out of his mouth. I will in no way root for the man. I like D-Rod, but like I said, there's always a piece of me that's halfway rooting for Mike Perry, just because I kind of want to see what brand of crazy he's going after this week. Or this month.
Understand that.
Since he fought.
Right. No, I can absolutely understand that. He really is kind of like a welterweight Derek Lewis in that aspect. I get that. I definitely get that. Okay.
Except for he's straight fucking crazy. Derek Lewis.
He is straight fucking crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But that will move us along into our next match of the evening here. The Battle of the New Moms. Mackenzie Dern coming back to take on Nina Nunez. Now no longer answer off on the website now. Finally. I kind of feel like the UFC is really pushing Mackenzie Dern more than they are relying on Nina at this point, if that makes sense. They really, really want Mackenzie Dern to do well, and it's very apparent in the way that they market her. Whereas the UFC kind of plays Nina much like a lot of the fans recognize Nina, more as Amanda's wife than also as a UFC fighter in the top 10 of the women's strawweight division. Nina's ranked number 5 for a reason. She's no fucking slouch. She's not an easy night out for anybody. She's married to and trains with arguably the greatest women's mixed martial artist ever to step on the fucking canvas. And we've seen in embeddeds for now Amanda and regular behind the scenes social media for Nina, as soon as she was able to, Nina got right the fuck back on it, and they bring the baby to the fucking gym. They'll fucking train with the baby watching so that they don't have to take time out. They can tag team taking care of the baby, and both of them get to fucking work out and keep fucking training. And Nina looks like she never had a fucking baby. She's right back to the fucking shape she was in before the kid, and she's just as fucking active. And they talked about in Amanda's embedded that if anything, this baby actually helped put them all on a very maintainable schedule. So they've got very regimented things. Everything is timed out. Everything is planned accordingly. Everybody gets everything in. Everybody gets to train. Nina has been fucking grinding, boys and girls. Meanwhile, Mackenzie has been not really doing a whole lot of changing other than her accent. Mackenzie is more known for having accents than talent at this point, despite literally being Brazilian jiu-jitsu royalty lineage. Her father is a fucking world-class Brazilian jiu-jitsu bad motherfucker from Brazil, despite Mackenzie having grown up her entire life in Prescott, Arizona, and having perfect English until she moved to Brazil 4 years ago. That aside, Mackenzie Dern is dangerous to the untrained can like Hannah Cyphers. But that ain't Nina. Nina's got good hands. Nina's got good ground game. Nina's got good wrestling. Nina's got good jiu-jitsu. She might not be the best anywhere, but she's good everywhere at a fucking high level. And she is tested on a regular basis by her wife, one of the best ever. I really don't think Mackenzie has much of a chance in this match other than Nina slipping up. I think this is essentially Nina's fight to lose. The only way I see Mackenzie getting this is literally if Nina fucks up and gives her an opening, which I don't see happening. I think Nina takes this one and fuck Mackenzie.
Mackenzie Dern, she is just good enough at that grind that I see a possibility of her pushing against the fence and staying and keeping her there. She's just good enough at it for me to almost make me think that that's how this could go. I really want Nina Nunez to win this fight. I'm kind of tired of having Mackenzie Dern shoved down my throat like I'm supposed to appreciate grinding against the fence as an art. It makes for terrible fights. It's become way too prevalent in the ladies lately. Well, MMA as a whole.
Yeah.
I get it's a really smart tactic, to victory, but you just see there's just so much of it going on, just so much, and I'm tired of it. So Mackenzie Dern, I want you to go to sleep this weekend. That's what I've got.
I'm in agreement here. The amount of Mackenzie Dern that we've got slapped with is fucking ridiculous. They're just trying to put another pretty face to the top of the pile to pull in more revenue. That's it. She's not a good fighter. She's a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Right.
She doesn't fight well at all. Nina, on the other hand, is very well-rounded. There's a reason why she's up at the top of the fucking stack there and within striking distance of a title shot.
Damn right.
Even after having a year layoff from pregnancy and having a baby. If you go back to the Embedded series, which you were talking about earlier, for fucking Amanda's fight, Nina was in shape then. And that was, what, 2 months ago now?
2 months ago, yeah.
I'm just saying, there's something to be said about that. And I think we're, as much as I hate to say this, I think what the UFC is hoping is that because Nina's had this long layoff, she's going to come in looking rusty and shitty.
I agree.
Whereas those of us who are in the know that that's not going to be the case. And with that more structured regiment, they're forced to do certain things at certain times. When you have a small infant child like that, you make shit work that you need to get done. Nina's going to take this one, and I think she's going to piss pound the shit out of Dern. Like, Dern is not going to walk out the same way she walked in my opinion. We're going to see some bumps, some bruises, and some things that you probably haven't seen on Dern yet because of the level of competition that they've stuck her against, to where she's able to just hold them against the cage and do absolutely fuck all. So I think Nina takes this one, and I do see a good possibility of a finish. I don't think it'll come early. I think it'll come late second to mid third round.
I can absolutely agree with that. I think there's a damn good chance of it playing out just that way as well. Excuse me. So that will bring us to our people's co-main event, as it were, our third from last fight of the evening. Smiling Sam Alvey stepping in to take on Julian the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. Mr. Miley, as it were. I will say this. I don't dislike Sam Alvey. I don't particularly care much for his style. The whole smiling through whatever shtick is a little bit played out. I think having your girlfriend as your coach after you've had how many knockouts in a row is probably proven to be a bad fucking idea. But, don't tell Sam that. And on the other side of that, you've got Julian Marquez, who is an absolute fucking Ferrari. That dude comes out 0 to 60 and like no fucking other. And he's one of them ice cream cone shaped fellas who is all upper body. So when he connects, it hurts. And we've seen that Smiling Sam has a very, very touchable chin. And when you touch that chin, that button goes off pretty fucking easily. This essentially feels to me kind of like a setup fight for Julian Marquez to start really springboarding his name to be more of a household name. And I like Sam Alvey enough to kind of feel bad, but I think Marquez is going to put him into fucking orbit before we see the end of the second round.
I agree 100% here. I mean, Smiling Sam Alvey's only path to victory in this is a decision.
Yeah. And even then.
And yeah, and Julian Marquez doesn't do decisions. He don't do decisions. So yeah, this is going to be. I think. I mean, Julian Marquez. Does he need? I mean, I guess yeah. You want to start bolting him up there. He's certainly got the potential. He's got the power. He doesn't, and he's a 100% finisher. This dude. So. That's what's happening this weekend. Is poor Smiling Sam's getting finished. I agree. I don't think he makes it out of the second. I think it's unlikely he makes it out of the first, but he might stick around a little longer.
I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I
Yeah.
don't think in any way, shape, or form we see the judges, but I wanted to give him a glimmer of hope and say he makes it out of the first.
There you go. Yeah, I'll take it. He's making it out of this. He'll make it out of the first. He's probably not making it out of the first.
The only thing that I hope that comes out of this fight, because I don't dislike Sam Alvey. I really don't. The dude's just, to be quite honest, I don't think the smiling thing is a shtick. I think he's really, literally just that kind of a fucking happy person by the looks of it. Which is perfectly all right. You be that kind of guy. I just think you're in the wrong business being that happy all the fucking time. This is the hurt business. But what I really want to see happen here is I want to see Julian Marquez fucking just annihilate Sam Alvey for this reason. I want to see what he has to say about Miley in another post-fight interview. And I want to, as much as I hate to say this weird shit, I want to see her weird, goofy-looking ass and him get out on a fucking date. That's it.
He said after the last one, he went on What the Heck with Mike Heck and said that he can't legally say what's happening, but that he and Miley have been talking off the books since the call out thing, and that they have something coming up that he can't let anyone know about yet, but that everyone will love if they liked his first Miley call out. So you got to imagine this is leading up to that as well. And I think I agree.
Better get
That's
the W
half
so the world can hear what's going on, because otherwise nobody's hearing shit.
Yeah, it's exactly. If that flops, if you fucking eat dick in that fucking round, buddy, you ain't never gonna get another fucking chance to throw that shit out there again. But if you get that W and you throw another big fucking Miley call out like that again, you do something fucking goofy, dude, you're gonna be a household name real fucking quick. Real fucking quick. But that will bring us into the co-main event of the evening here. This, I feel like, is a good spotlight for both of these fighters, because both of these guys have had glimpses or flashes of greatness, as it were, but neither one has really been able to just quite string together enough to kind of force the crowds to recognize him, as it were. Arnold Allen, man, when that kid is on, holy shit, for a little guy, he fucking bangs. And Sadiq Youssef might be one of the most well-rounded fighters we have ever seen come out of Dana White's Contender Series. They don't call him Super Sadiq for no fucking reason. That dude really can do fucking everything. The interesting thing that I think makes this a good spotlight for both of these guys is that we've seen both of them have issues with their gas tank when the fights go long. Both of them have good early fight games. Allen is a fucking power punch and featherweight like no other. He doesn't look like much. And then you see him wind up and swing, and you're like, oh shit, he's going to take his fucking chin right off. And then you see Sadiq, who just moves a million miles an hour. He's almost impossible to fucking pin down in the early rounds. He can hit you and move. He can grab you. He can take you to the ground. He can wrestle the shit out of you. He can get the fuck out of the way when you're throwing crazy fucking shots at him. But again, you get into those later rounds, the pressure's been on. He's had him to use his fucking gas tank a whole lot, and we've seen him slow down in the end as well. I think this fight is really going to come down to who can manage your fucking endurance. We've seen both of you have issues with it, and both of you come out going hard as a motherfucker. So who can manage your endurance the best? Because both of them have chins. Both of them have power, but both of them have chins. So I don't think this is a situation where either guy goes to sleep early. I think this is going to be a war of attrition. I really do. And I think it's going to come down to who's been on their fucking bike in the off season. Who's been putting the laps in? Who's been swimming when you didn't have anything else to fucking do? Who's been training your fucking cardio? Because I think this fight is going to come down to who still has enough to give when that round 3 bell dings. We know both of them have a great round 1. Both of them can sustain a round 2. But when that round 3 bell dings and neither one of you have knocked the other one out, who still has enough gas to make the run? Much as I like Arnold Allen, I kind of feel like Super Sadiq has recognized his flaws and he's gotten on that bike. We've seen him steadily improve since he came in, and I gotta feel like he's still doing that. So I gotta push my chips in here for Super Sadiq, man. He's the singular hope that I have that there may be a few gems in the rough from the Contender Series to be had. Few and far between, but he's one of the few that have come through there that give me just that glimmer of hope. So I go with Super Sadiq.
I'm on the Sadiq train here. I'm not gonna lie. Allen has been very impressive in the wins that he's had. What I'm a little thrown off is where the rankings are here, because I think Sadiq's what's the best way to put this? Strength of schedule has been better than Allen's. Yet Allen is ranked above him. And to be quite honest, Sadiq Yusuf, he's shown what he's made of. And you're right, both of them do seem to have kind of poor gas tanks for the featherweight division, which is kind of strange. Most featherweights, you don't see that issue, but both of them noticeably slow towards the third round. The first and second rounds, I think part of their problem is they come out way too fucking hyped, both of them, which is fine because we've seen the power that both of them have. We've seen both of them can take a shot. However, in my opinion here, purely my opinion, I think Sadiq has a much better power shot than Arnold does. However, now that's where I said this is purely opinion based on this. Arnold has had some fucking hellacious lands that we've seen. But it seems like his strength of schedule has just been a tad touch weaker than Sadiq's. But for this fight, this makes perfect sense for where it's placed on the card. This is the best placement on a card that we've seen in a while for guys that aren't yet household names, and where it's actually a deserving spot for them. And to be quite honest, this is, out of all of the fights on the card, this is a perfect co-main event fight, in my opinion. Because one, you're going to see a lot of action out of the both of these guys. Both Arnold Allen and Super Sadiq, they're both going to be moving from the get-go. Then two, this is where they get that crack at who do we get a call out inside the top 10, being as we're both right at the cusp of it. So this is going to throw some more hats into that pile there in the featherweight division, which is great because, to be honest, we need the little mix up from these newer guys like this. It's not that there's anything wrong with the featherweight division, except for everything in the top 7 has been pretty stagnant. We've seen the top 7 shuffle around a little bit, but nothing's actually changed. So these guys getting that shot and getting that shot to be able to say, hey, yeah, it's time for me to have someone up there. Even a top 5 opponent would be fucking fantastic for both of these guys. So, do I think Sadiq's gonna outlast Arnold? Yeah, I do. Oh, could I be completely fucking wrong here? Yeah, without a doubt, because both of them have shown some really great flashes of greatness here. And I think with a little more tutelage, both of them are legitimate championship caliber fighters. But they're right on that cusp of either they're going to the moon or they're going to sit where they're at.
Yeah, I kind of concur. For the most part, Arnold Allen is historically a better finisher. He does have a harder shot than Sadiq does. Sadiq is very good at pretty much everything. They call him Super Sadiq for a reason, as Meter mentioned. He can wrestle. He can work on the ground. Historically, though, Arnold Allen has been able to put the kibosh on people a bit more effectively. Super Sadiq, because of the poor gas tank, does have a tendency to push things to decision every once in a while, where Arnold Allen rarely, if ever, gets to that point. no matter what you say about his gas tank. He's only lost once. Super Sadiq has only lost once for both of them. I think Sadiq's coming in riding a six fight win streak, and I think Arnold Allen's coming in riding 5 or 6. I forget what he's got. Arnold Allen is a better finisher than Super Sadiq, and I think he's going to finish Sadiq one way or the other. Whether it's waiting for him to tire down and throw in a counter shot, which he's showing, or whether it's really getting after him, and he's shown that as well. So one way or the other, I think I will put my heel hat here on the line against Super Sadiq, and I'm going to take Arnold Allen. I think he's finishing it because that's what he does in his fights. He finishes it. It doesn't matter who it is.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I was going to say we should vote, but since RJ didn't show up, I think we all just 3 get a point this week. Since it makes it more interesting when we got 4 people to vote, since at least that way, if we get a tie, it's a double 2-way tie, and we could force a vote off. But the 3 of it's kind of just a weird circle jerk. So RJ cost himself a point 2 weeks in a row. So we're all 3 just going to get a point this week because we all 3 make valid points. So that'll move us along to our main event of the evening, the marquee title that got us this UFC Vegas 23 card, slapped together literally within a week and change-ish. But here we are nonetheless. Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. There's a lot you could say about this fight, but I think the most important part is this. Marvin Vettori was the first person to give Israel Adesanya any serious challenge when he came into the UFC. He has not let go of that accolade since that moment. That has literally been his go-to card anytime a microphone has been put in front of him for the last year and change, at the very least. On the other side of that, Kevin Holland literally took this fight on a week and change notice, knowing damn well that Vettori had a full camp and that he's been just rage working, preparing for Darren Till. So Kevin Holland not only took a fight on a week and change notice, he took a fight against a dude he knew was giving extra to make sure he could fuck this fight up. He knew he was not only stepping in on short notice, he was stepping in against a dude who wants to finish this fight in the first with authority and really won't give a fuck that there's a different face for him to do it to. We know Vettori was training extra hard for Till, but we know Vettori just wants to get through whoever they put in front of him so that he can make his case that he should be the one to challenge Izzy for that belt. I will say this. Vettori absolutely has had some great fucking wins. That fight against Hermanson is one of the best matches I think he's had in a long fucking time. He did look legitimately pretty goddamn good against a very good Jack Hermanson. That being said, I think Izzy would smoke Jack Hermanson like a Saturday afternoon blunt and wouldn't have 2 fucking sweats rolling down his brow about it. Kevin Holland, on the other hand, is a little more tricky to consider here because we've seen him quite literally put on multiple fucking knockout of the year performances and then immediately followed it up by literally talking himself out of a win. No exaggeration. Derek Brunson didn't do anything to him that he couldn't have recovered from or worked out of. If he would have actually shut his fucking mouth and worked. I don't joke and I don't exaggerate when I say that he quite literally talked through the entire fight while he was punching, while he was on the ground, while they were grappling, while he was in the corner. He talked to Khabib outside the fucking ring. He didn't stop talking the whole fucking time. credit where credit is due. I think the game plan of him going down to 170 is the best move for him, but I also understand this week's notice fight against a very, very hungry Marvin Vettori could keep him in the circle at 85 and keep him from having to go down to 170 if he really doesn't want to go down there. This fight and him performing in it could save the fuck up that him versus Derek Brunson absolutely was. But if what we saw in that Derek Brunson fight was that his defense mechanism when he can't figure something out is to just talk, and he just really did have kind of a mental breakdown in that fight and couldn't recover, Marvin Vettori is going to give him a real bad night, because Marvin Vettori is not the greatest wrestler in the world, but that giant fucking Italian can wrestle, let me fucking tell you. And if he knows for a fact wrestling will get this guy yapping his mouth and not throwing punches like we saw in the Derek Brunson fight, guess what Marvin Vettori is going to do on Saturday? He's going to grab Kevin Holland, he's going to put him on the ground, and he's going to hold him there. And when Kevin starts talking, those giant Italian fists are going to come fucking raining down like meatballs of pain. Because I guarantee you that Marvin Vettori punches harder than Derek Brunson does. I would bet my fucking stimulus check Marvin Vettori punches harder than Derek Brunson does. And Marvin Vettori is hungrier than Derek Brunson was. Even though Derek Brunson got that W, I don't think Marvin Vettori would let the fight go the way that Derek Brunson did, as long as Derek Brunson did. Marvin Vettori is too angry. He is too in a hurry to get to that belt. He's not going to give Kevin Holland the chance to talk his way through this fight. He's going to bring the pressure. The problem for Marvin is that in bringing the pressure, he gets real fucking sloppy. Real fucking sloppy. And while Kevin Holland runs his fucking mouth a lot, he's also very, very accurate with his strikes. And he's very technical in his counters. Ask Jacare. He's also very creative in the angles that he throws those counters. Ask Joaquin Buckley. Kevin Holland might run his fucking mouth, but he does have some fucking skills. And one of his biggest ones is the ability to be unpredictable. His second best strength, in my opinion, is his counter striking. Those play perfectly against Marvin Vettori, who's going to be angry, and he's going to charge forward like a bull, and he's going to try and get aggressive, and he's probably going to try and put Kevin Holland on the ground. But I'm pretty sure Kevin Holland also has watched that Derek Brunson fight about 73 times since then. And he's the type of guy who's not going to want to get put on his back like he did and embarrassed again. So I'm pretty sure he's been working on wrestling since that fight ended and he got home. I think Vettori is going to charge forward like a fucking bulldozer. And I have no doubt that he's going to put everything he has into every swing he throws, trying to take Kevin Holland's big mouth right off his fucking face. But I also have faith that Kevin Holland's counter striking is fucking legit. And his precise striking makes a very big difference against sloppy punchers. And I think that's going to add up for a bad night for Marvin Vettori. I think he's going to give it hell. But I think Big Mouth actually shuts him down inside of 2 rounds. I think he gets sloppy and Big Mouth catches him and fucks him up. I think Vettori gets slept in the second.
Well, the nice thing with Kevin Holland is it only takes one shot. He has legit one-shot power. Vettori also has legit one-shot power. You can see it coming from about a million miles away. With Kevin Holland, you never know where that's coming from. He did it off his back. Like, I have never seen that. I've never seen a shot like that. It was impressive. At this point, you got to believe Kevin Holland's got at least a little bit of a sprawl game laid out in his mind. Just kind of sprawl away from the wrestling takedown, and then wait for him to get back up and try again. I think this winds up on the ground probably in the first. I don't think it happens again in the second. And I think we see. I'm with Meter. I think we see Vettori eat a shot before the end of the second round. It makes a lot of sense to me. Vittori's going to come out. He's gonna be just angry and wants to throw the world, and he's going to burn himself out, and he'll get sloppy, and that's when Kevin Holland's at his best. Kevin Holland, wait, and then in that second round he starts picking at you, running his mouth. Next thing you know, you're throwing something you probably shouldn't, and you're on your back. Kevin Holland's also due a win. You don't have as good of a year as that dude had last year without being able to get back on the horse after a bad fight. He's due a win. I think this is Kevin Holland's fight. Just push him one step closer, because they want to put him up there. They want to give him a title fight. So give him one more shot, and we'll see where this goes. So yeah, my pick's Kevin Holland. I think this fight is primed, and I think this is just his type of fight. Coming in on a week's notice. That's what he did for a living last year, and just annihilated people. So this is tailor made for him. So that's what I got.
You motherfuckers, both of you, made me fucking do it. I didn't want to do this but somebody has to. I have to play the heel on this one. So let's play the fucking heel. Start here. His fight against Jack Manson, like you said, was fucking amazing. That's where he's at right now. That's why he should be fighting Darren Till, not a mentally broken Kevin Holland. Look, I'm not going to say Kevin Holland's mentally broken after that fight. That's Dana White's words, mental breakdown. No, he fought like shit that fight, period. He was too busy running his goddamn mouth, which he does in every fight, but he was running it more than normal rather than focusing on the fight. I think he thought he had an easy night work after the fucking year he had last year, which was phenomenal. I'll say it. The dude's fucking fantastic. I was on the Kevin Holland trade. I was not aboard before, but I was after last year. That last fight reminded me why I didn't ever get on the fucking train in the first place. Because that showed that he had his best year he will ever have for the rest of his fucking life was last year. We're looking at 2 L's in a row here. You're coming off a short turnaround. He didn't fight that long ago. Was that a month and a half ago? Not even. 4 weeks?
Yeah, not even 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 4.
And hats off to him for that. Well done, sir. You get my approval for that. I love a company man who's willing to get in there and fight over and over. Do I think that was a smart move? No, because you need a fucking sports psychologist to get your shit together. Vettori, all right. Where do I start on Vettori? Although I am picking him for the win on this. Let me start with some fucking... Vettori he reminds me of of high school. You always have one meathead fucking jock in every high school. That's fucking Marvin Vettori to a fucking T. He's a goddamn meathead that does these wild looping fucking punches, but he can fucking wrestle too. And he wrestles very well, but he's just an absolute meathead where you just think the dude's a fucking moron. But god damn it, can he hit somebody hard, and god damn it, can he wrestle. Hey, we've seen it in his last couple fights. His wrestling's on point. And when he hits somebody with one of those looping fucking shots, that's nighty-night. I mean, the dude's built like a fucking ice cream cone. He obviously skips leg day. But I mean, at the same time, he also has a gas tank too. For being such a big guy, he's got a pretty goddamn good gas tank. I do not think, albeit the great year that Kevin Holland had last year, knocking people out off of his back, possibly one of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see in your fucking life, well, between him and one other fighter off the back, but we're not talking about that right now. Possibly one of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see. He had an absolute fluke of a year. His guardian angel that year was working goddamn quadruple overtime to pull that shit off. Because he can't shut his fucking mouth long enough to let his brain think how to fight properly, which is why he lost the fucking last fight. If he shut the fuck up and just fought, do you know how dangerous Kevin Holland would be? He would probably be one of the most dangerous motherfuckers in this division. In fact, I would go as far to say that if he shut up and just focused on the fight, he could possibly make a run at the title. Right now, there's not a snowball's chance in hell he wins this fight. In fact, you got better odds of getting fucking snow at the equator in the middle of July than you do of Kevin Holland winning this fight. Do I think Vettori's going to knock him out? No. I think he's going to wrestle him and then beat him up on the fucking ground. Because he does have a damn fine ground and pound with that wrestling. So, is it going to come from the feet? No. But he's going to put Kevin Holland on his back. And we're going to see Kevin go, man, that's not fucking cool. Why are you doing that to me? You're making me look bad. Well, he's fucking talking off his back. He's going to get about 3 extra words in. And that big old jock meathead motherfucker is just going to shut him up and put his lights out on his back. I bet you that shit happens middle of the second round.
Interesting.
All right,
Interesting.
now I can turn my hat
indeed.
forward. I'm done playing the heel.
I can absolutely see Vettori putting Holland on the ground and laying down some serious fucking ground and pound, because he does have a serious fucking ground and pound attack. And especially as mad as he's going to be coming into this thing, if he gets Holland on the ground before he wears himself out, it could absolutely be a bad time for Kevin. That's for damn sure. We've seen it be a bad time for him just his last time out from a guy who isn't nearly as good, in my opinion, as Vettori is. So that could absolutely be a very big mistake by Holland. But the only way to find out for sure is to tune in tomorrow night to catch those Bellator results, and then Saturday night to see how the UFC results play out. But that is all we have got for this particular episode here. So before we wrap this up, if you enjoy what we do, you can catch us on basically all social media platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. If you are listening to this in the all audio version, then you already know that over on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe, you can catch the podcast a week after it airs live in all audio format on your podcast consumption platform of choice. But if you didn't know that, because you are watching us live on Thursday nights on youtube.com/I'm No Joe, 9:30 p.m. ish Central Time, we go live every Thursday. You can catch us here pretty much every week. But if you're here, make sure to subscribe, hit that little bell so you don't miss an episode. If you appreciate what we do, share an episode, tell a friend. If you like what we're doing right now, give us that thumbs up. We're working for it. We're trying to keep you guys entertained and informed. On the other hand, if you think we're just a couple of weirdos that let some fucking random young kid hop in once in a while, go ahead and give us a thumbs down, because we earned it and we won't dispute that fact. But if you do really like what we do around here and you want to help support the channel, patreon.com/I'm No Joe helps us do what we do around here, gives you a little thank you at the end of the video, gives you access to some behind the scenes stuff, some unaired videos and some unairable videos. But before we get out of here, I do want to give these wonderful gentlemen a chance to let you know where you can get a little more info. So at this point, I don't know how they could, but if someone has not signed up for the Hug Chalathon and they need a little more Fresho 3 in their lives once the show has ended, how can they find you once we're off the air, sir?
Come find me at youtube.com/fresho3. We'll be doing some bathtub mixing on Saturdays, and then we got some more bathtub mixing on Tuesdays, and just hanging out, waiting for everything to open up so we can properly track Uncle Chael down and give that man the Captain America hugs that he deserves. I even have a shield. It's gonna work. It's gonna be awesome. Come hang out.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciate it. And ironically enough, just because I knew today was going to be a thing when the wife and I were out and about gallivanting and doing our adulting yesterday, I actually did stop at a Culver's and get myself some cheese curds just so that I had that notion fresh in my mind here. But if someone needs directions on where in your neck of the woods they might find some tasty cheese curds and maybe even some directions to find themselves a Kenosha crazy man, how can they get a hold of you once we're off the air, TJ?
Wednesday nights, right here on the YouTubes, 9:30 Central Time. And of course, here every Thursday. And you can also find me on fucking Instagrams. Shoot me a message there. I'll gladly talk some shit with you, anything kicky, punchy, or anything else for that matter. And if I don't know it, I'll fucking fake it till I make it. But I can definitely give you directions to Kenosha, and I can definitely find you where there's some fucking fantastic cheese curds.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. That being said, we are going to call that all for this particular episode of the show. So thank you again for everyone who tuned in live. I see you guys in chat. Even if I don't get a chance to answer you, I do appreciate you showing up. Or whether you are catching this on a replay, we appreciate you guys just the same. But we are going to go ahead and get the hell out of here for this evening. So remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you really thought I was going to end the show without saying Pat Sabatini one more time.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.